Could the ACC actually dissolve after all? Pull up a chair, sit back, relax, and let's talk about it. What is up, college sports fans, fellow members of Mountaineer Nation? This is Coos, and welcome in to another edition of Coos' Corner. So pull that chair up and let me serve you up another shot of top shelf college football knowledge. On tap in today's episode, more conference expansion talk, conference realignment talk, and this time we're focusing on the ACC. There was an article that came out in the News and Observer that really got me thinking that I might be wrong about something, and that is this. I have been saying all along that the ACC is very unlikely to ever go away because their grant of rights deal is so ironclad based on what I've heard and been told. And it would be extremely hard for the SEC and the Big Ten, even with the Big 12's help, would be really hard for them to take at least 8 teams out of the ACC without decreasing the pie for those other conferences. There's just not enough. I didn't think there would be enough teams in the ACC that would add value to those conferences to equal their TV deal or to improve their TV deal that wouldn't dilute it. So therefore, the ACC is going to remain where they are. Their TV deal is going to stay intact, and everything's going to be the same at least up to 2036. Well, after this article I came across in the News and Observer, there's actually another way for this conference to be dissolved potentially. And it's if the conference leadership decides to do it on their own. And they might actually be thinking about it. And let's look at it. When you look at this article in the News and Observer, it focuses on the University of North Carolina and a text conversation between their AD, Bubba Cunningham, and their president, Kevin Gushewitz. And I hope I pronounced his last name right. I may have butchered it. If I did, I apologize, UNC fans. You can correct me in the comments. But Bubba Cunningham had been having a conversation behind the scenes, just basically to get some advice or get the thoughts of former Big Ten commissioner Jim Delany, who also happens to be a UNC alum. And Cunningham was basically sharing his thoughts with Gushewitz in order for Gushewitz to prepare for a meeting he was having with all the other ACC presidents the following day after the USC UCLA announcement came out. So on July 1st, Gushewitz was meeting with other ACC leaders to talk about the future of the conference. And here's some important takeaways. And also, there's some interesting quotes in here from Jim Phillips, ACC commissioner. First, let's talk about the importance of football in the landscape we're in today. It talks about how the ACC's collective football image rehabilitative process is sure to be a long one. Phillips, who since the start of his tenure as commissioner in February 2021 has made clear the need for the league to bolster its football brand, hasn't just talked the talk. He has sent ACC staffers to each of the league's 14 full members to ensure they're investing in football to the degree that the conference believes they should be. And here's a quote from Phillips. I don't necessarily want to go into the metrics, but we're in the middle of that exercise right now. According to Phillips, the league is evaluating every member's infrastructure, support, financial support, resources, and the rest concerning its commitment to football. And I think it's going to absolutely tell us an awful lot, Phillips said. Maybe everybody's invested, or maybe somebody has invested in a much higher level than others. So, what does this tell us? To me, if you read between the lines, it tells us this. If we've got schools that are out there who aren't investing in football the way they should and potentially hurting the ACC brand, they may need to go. Now, maybe I read too much into that, but why else would they be doing that exercise? Why else would they be going school to school to see what they're investing in football if they didn't have a purpose behind it and a plan behind it? I mean, obviously they can have talks and say, hey, you need to invest more in football. That's part of the equation, I'm sure, too. But there may be some who either can't or won't as well. And another reason I think kicking teams out of the league is an actual possibility is the next part of this article entitled Patience and Planning. Now, the patience and planning came from Jim Delany's comments to Cunningham in their conversation when he told Delany when Delany told Cunningham that UNC and the ACC both needed to show patience and planning in this landscape we're in today of realignment and expansion and everything else. So that's all part of this equation. But when you go down here, here's what it says. For UNC and other ACC schools, there is little choice but to follow the advice Delany provided Cunningham in their long talk over the summer, patience and planning. In his text message conversation with Gushewitz on June 30th, Cunningham went over how Phillips was likely to address the ACC's presidents and chancellors during their conference call the next morning, which was July 1st. One of the talking points, as Cunningham described it, and I quote, should we explore a partnership with the Big 12 or Pac 12? So not only was the ACC looking at a partnership with the Pac 12, they also considered the Big 12, apparently. Then it goes on. Gushewitz was intrigued. We could have a super conference both athletically and academically, he responded. Probably would need to be called the Atlantic Pacific Athletic Conference or the APAC. Maybe that's crazy, but if it would get us a better TV deal, it may be worth considering. So not only did he discuss the idea of having a new league by merging with one of the other remaining, what we'll call the bottom tier leagues, bottom tier Power 5 leagues in the Big 12 and Pac 12, but he actually picked out a name. That's how far he had gotten in his thought process here. Think about that. And then this next paragraph is really the telling one. And it says this. We need to think about what outcomes we want, Cunningham wrote back. What are our priorities? Now, here's the key sentence. Listen to this. Do we want to maintain all teams in the ACC? Is this a new league? Do we want to have the same number of teams at each school? Should we play a national schedule or regional schedule? Think about that. The key sentence there. Do we want to maintain all teams in the ACC? You take that and combine it with the statement Jim Phillips made about making sure every team was investing in football properly. To me, you put those two items together, what's that tell you? It's possible that they could actually kick teams out of the ACC or at least aid them in finding another home. Like the Big 12. Think about it. Us Big 12 fans, especially those of us in West Virginia, have been wanting them to get some more teams from the East so that we could have some regional rivalries. Maybe that's actually possible with this. Maybe the ACC decides, hey, and I'm just going to use these teams as examples. Maybe Duke's not investing enough in football. They're focusing too much on basketball. They need to go somewhere else. Would the Big 12 want Duke? I don't know. But with Brett Yormark's background in basketball and the statement he made a few weeks ago about making sure the Big 12 is a quality basketball and football conference, maybe Duke would fit in the Big 12. It would definitely boost the Big 12's academic standing. And I'm just using Duke as an example. Do they see that Louisville's not fitting in the ACC? You know, that would be a great addition to the Big 12. It would renew an old rivalry for West Virginia. Louisville's not that far from the current Big 12 footprint. It would be a great, great team to add, in my opinion. So that's just two examples. There are other teams that you could add in. Does the Big 12 want to get in the Northeast market and go get a Boston College or a Syracuse? Syracuse would definitely boost your basketball brand, get you in a new market in the Northeast. I mean, there's a lot of options here, folks. And apparently, this is all on the table right now. And I didn't think it would be. I'll be honest with you. I thought it was people just imagining things, pie in the sky, but it's not pie in the sky because apparently the ACC is actually thinking of kicking teams out of their conference. I think this is a big story. I don't think it's probably not getting the attention it would had it been released in the offseason. But I wanted to bring this to you guys, let you know about what's being talked about out there. I want to know, ACC fans, what do you think about this story? Especially if you're a North Carolina Tar Heel fan. What do you think about this story, about the conversation that took place between Gushewitz and Cunningham? And I apologize if I'm getting Gushewitz's name wrong. You can correct me in the comments how to pronounce it. But I'd love to hear from ACC fans on this and Big 12 fans. Would you love to merge with the ACC? I know West Virginia fans would. I know or at least many of them. There's a lot that wouldn't. My buddy Big Dan T probably wouldn't, but I know there's a lot that would. Or do you think it would be more likely for the ACC and the Pac-12 to merge? I want to hear your thoughts on it. If you want to support my channel financially, guys, all you got to do, the easiest way to do it, you can hit that thanks button right below this video. It's a little heart with a dollar sign in the middle of it. You click that button, leave a comment, and leave a small donation. Or you can join my channel, become a member by hitting the join button right below. You take advantage of some perks that I have to offer for my members. Or you can check out my merch store. Buy yourself a shirt, a hat, a coffee mug, whatever. Or you can support me absolutely 100% free in 4 ways. You can like this video, comment under this video like I mentioned, share this with your friends, let them know about Kuz's Corner. Last but not least, and maybe most important for me today, subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet, please. I'm wanting to hit 5,000 subscribers by the end of the calendar year. I'm just over 3,400 right now, so I need your help to get me to that 5,000 threshold. So please hit that subscribe button if you haven't. It's like I said, it's absolutely free. I cover a lot of realignment and expansion content here. I cover a lot of Big 12 content, a lot of West Virginia content, and any major national storylines that may drop. I will try to do a video on it if I can. So if you like that kind of stuff, please support me here at Kuz's Corner. Really, with all that being said, I really appreciate you tuning in to this video. And until the next one, Q Country Roads.